Anyway, okay, enough about that. So what I'd like to try and get on today is to have a look at essentially there's two things that we got left to look at during this month. One of which is the perception component, and the other is the EQS system, and they can be used together as well. So the perception, AI perception, is a component that you place on to a AI pawn, and it will allow them to, it handles all the logic automatically for you to have a cone of vision, which can pick up different types of actors, which does traces for you. It manages this list of actors. It'll actually store a list of actors as well that it's seen in the last X amount of seconds. You can define how long you should remember seeing things for. You can also set up other sensors such as sound as well on it. So then you set up different radius of what, how far away things need to be making a noise in order for them to hear it, for example, as well. So that is the AI sensing component. The EQS system is a querying system which allows your AI to choose a point based on a bunch of rules that you set up. So say I'm this ball here, I might, or say the AI is this ball here. We might be trying to come up with something to say, okay, where's a good point to hide? And so what we might do is we might make rules that say, okay, do like a circle of points around us, and on each one of those, if there's a line of sight between that point and any of the players in the world, then it's not a good hiding spot. And if otherwise, it is a good hiding spot. And then you might add another rule on it to add to this equation then, which might be, okay, also, the further away from the player we are, the better the hiding spot, because there's less chance they're going to stumble upon us. So then you have two numbers. So this point over here would be really good. Let's, if we move this one over here, just for this example. So if we had those two rules, right? First off, here would be a higher point because you can't see them anymore, right? So that is, the line of sight is not. So just imagine that when our characters here, our AI pawn, sorry, and they are generating a bunch of points. Just imagine there's around 50 points around here. They're going to choose one of those points to move to, and so it goes through and evaluates each one, and it'll get a score. And if there's a point roughly over here, then this point is going to be scored quite highly due to the fact that there's no line of sight now. Whereas any point generated in this area, there would be a line of sight. So all of these behind here will be a higher score. So then you can tell it, say, okay, move to one of those. You can say, move to the highest point one, or choose a random one between the top scored ones. So that would choose a random one as well. But what we can do is apply that second rule we said, which is the further away from the player you are, the better. So if we had our circle of points, that means that the ones further away from the enemies, which is going to be like all of these points over here probably, they would be the highest. These would still be high. These would be significantly lower. But then that allows you to choose even better points, not just the one factor involved. And that's what EQS is a way for you to create these and define these queries to generate spatial information typically. No problem, too satisfied. Thanks for dropping in. You have a good day. I know I was 3 minutes late, so you've probably gone already. But hopefully you can sense the goodwill, even though you may have gone. So, the sensing component. Let's have a little look at that first, shall we? So, what controller have we been using? We've had our pet owner and our pet controller, and then we had our simple AI controller as well. Have we got one of these in the world? I think this is our simple AI controller, isn't it? Yeah, controller simple. Yeah, that sounds about right. So this was our simple one. I can't remember if they actually did anything. There's nothing set up in here. I think they have a behavior set up, don't they? Or did we unplug it? I think we unplugged it so it doesn't do anything at all, actually. So that's not a bad point. Let's go into the AI and let's go into the... Oh, yeah, we made the human sorry, the pet owner used the same thing for now because they didn't need to do anything in here. So let's open up this behavior tree. I hate that you can't click the Blackboard there. You have to open it, but and then you can switch between them. Never mind. I guess you could use the same Blackboard in multiple behavior trees. But regardless. To make it more silly though, my point here is that even if you open the behavior tree first, oh crikey, no, now it's letting me. I swear, if you open the behavior tree first, it still doesn't let you switch to it normally. It might have been because I'd opened it previous, but okay. So let's check the tree. We got all our previous behaviors that we've done. So at the moment, all they do is wait for 5 seconds, and that's it. They don't do anything else. So that's fine. That's fine. So let's go into our character then. Let's go into our viewport. This is them looking wonderful. Okay, and what we want to do then is to add in one of these AI perception components. So this is it here, and you'll see it doesn't need to be attached. It's just one of those components that exists. It does, yeah. So it's not part of the hierarchy. So we don't need to do anything with it in terms of moving it around or where it lives or anything. That's not an issue. It automatically will detect the character that it's on and default where its kind of viewport is, if you will. So we can then go ahead and choose what we want this to be able to sense. So let's go through, make sure there's nothing else. What have we got on here? We got a name. This stuff isn't too important. This bit is the first bit of interest to us, I guess, which is this senses config. So this is an array, and this array allows you to choose what you want them to be able to detect. So some of these things I'm not familiar with. We're probably just going to stick to sight and hearing if we're going to do any. So we'll just chuck sight on to begin with. Here, I guess if there's multiple, you choose which one comes first over the other. So I'd imagine damage would be like a high, and touch would be high priority typically if you're using those. But if not, if it's sight over hearing, you'd probably go over what you see rather than just what you hear, right? We'll go for sight. Component tags, I don't think we need to add anything into that. We're not doing any network-based stuff, so we don't care about the replication. But then you can see that we got some events as well. You can bind to these via code if you're doing it via code. So you just make a AI perception component, add it, and then you manually add dynamic bind to these events. So you can do it via CPP without too much hassle. So we have on perception updated, on target perception updated. What's the difference between those two? Might want to move these to special. Oh. Is that a comment from Unreal? It is. It is moved to it. Anyway, okay. On component activated, on component deactivated. So we have that on perception updated. That's probably something that we're going to be using because we're going to get an array. If I remember correctly, you get an array of like event data, which is packed into a struct, and that'll let you know what type of sense that it was, if I recall correctly anyway. So that's the first thing we needed to do, right? And then let's say that we want our doggo to be something that we say dog, it's just a ball, but we're going with it. Pet, where are you, beautiful pet? So if we want this pet to be able to be detected by this, you also need to add a stimuli source onto it. So this is the other thing. So everything you want your AI's perception component to detect, you need to hook up everything else that it will detect to have one of these on it. So in the same way, we have ourselves a register as source for sensors. I think this is what we need to set up. So this, I think we just set it up with the same stuff that we have in here. Auto register as source. I think we're going to tick that. I'm guessing you can tell it when to do it. Otherwise, we're just going to do it on begin play. I imagine that does for us. Okay, sweet. Save. We're okay with that. Okay, so that's the first steps of what we've got. what we need to do now is to try and figure out how we can make our simple character use that perception. And I guess we will... We want to do sight. Is there like... I'm wondering, like... Where's the specifics? Hang on. I'm wondering where's the specifics on the character that control, like, how the sense works. Ah, this. Yes, there's a lot more in there. I'm glad we came back to this. So this is what controls how far you can see, at which point you lose sight of them. You don't want that to be the same number, because then you'd be constantly like seeing and unseeing them, I guess, if we're talking a few pixels. Or units, which is, I think 1 unit is a centimeter in Unreal, right? So peripheral vision. You can choose, because there's lots of debugging tools built in as well. You can choose what color you want it to show up as. Now here is quite an important one if you're just playing around it for the first time. We're going to change this. So detection by affiliation. This is the idea that you set up teams in a game where you'll have teammates, you'll have people who aren't part of a team at all, but then you'll have enemies as well. Typically, yeah, you'd want them to react to enemies, but we haven't gone ahead and set up teams or anything, so we're just going to allow them to set up anything, detect anything at this point. I guess you can make your own implementation. That's pretty cool. I like that. But okay. The max age, what does that do? Specialized age after stimuli generated by the sense becomes forgotten. 0 means you never forget it. Oh, would we want to set a max age? I'd imagine after like 10 seconds you'd want to, but for now we'll leave it on 0, I guess. We'll see how that behaves. It is a lovely, it's a little chunky, but it's lovely regardless, isn't it? How you doing, Fables? On this wonderful Sunday evening. I'm just going to go and turn off my fan. It's getting a little chilly. Okay, we're back. Running and now you're tired. I did 2 jogs last week. I think it's only 1.4 miles, my little route, but that's enough for me. By the end, I'm like, I hope I finish soon. Let's just get home. It's not like my it's not like my lungs are struggling or anything like that. It's just effort, isn't it? But yeah, so I've done 2 of those. I'm going to try and do a couple a week. I'm going to assume you mean meters there, Booksnell. So congratulations on doing your 1.5 meter run. It's, don't build up too much of a sweat there. For a snail. That's a very fair point. Okay, so we've got this set up now, and now we need to think about how we work with this. So I guess we would probably bind to the event in here on perception updated. I don't know the difference between these two, and that's the downside here. But I'm guessing we'd need to go, let's just go perception updated. And we'll also, I guess we might as well do both of them. So this is every time your perception is scanned, I guess? And this is every time the specific actor is changed, maybe? Okay. So let's see what we have in this struct that is giving to us, right? This is the stimuli information that we're getting from it. So let's break it down. Degeneration X style. The age of it, exploration age, the strength, the stimulus location, receiver location, tag successfully sensed. Okay, so I guess, yeah, I don't know what means successfully. Would it count as a stimulus event if they're leaving, maybe? I guess we can have a look at this information, right? If we were to hit a point in here. So let's just go ahead and chuck a branch in here and say if successfully sensed, then we want to go ahead and let's just print this location out, shall we? Sensed. Let's do an append actually. Oh gosh. And then we'll put in the stimulus location. Guessing receiver location is us, right? Yeah, you might still want to know where you were when you saw them. Right, that makes sense. Okay, and do we want to care about if it's false? I guess we can do this. I wonder if it's just going to spam this now, though. But we want this to... We'll just have it last for a second, not long. So green will be sensed, and then we'll have red as a not sensed. Let's copy this. I know we're crossing wires here, but we're just playing around with it, getting an idea of what's going on. Okay, so this is not sensed. And we want this to be red. We got that. Okay, so I'm wondering how often this stuff is going to come off at the moment. So let's save it. And let's give it a go, I guess. Sorry, I see lots of unsaved stars, which make me feel anxious. So we just wanted to save things off. All right. Okay, so sensed. There was a sense. Does it need to move in order for it to sense it again? I don't know. We also don't really know the facing direction of this at the moment, do we? So I think we can have a look at some of the debugging tools here. Perception. There we go. Right. I guess we want that on. Don't really need the nav mesh one on. Control and tab. Whoa, okay. Oh, because they're spotting me at the moment. I see how it is. Oh, that's interesting. That's what that spectator thing did, I guess. Is it? Oh, no. It's still... So we made it to detect... We just said it'll detect any neutrals, enemies, or friendlies, didn't we? So you see the age on it. That's when it last saw it. So the sensed came up there. Not sensed. Yeah, so we were right. So the sensed is like a collision event almost. When you stopped sensing them. So we should get that. The ranges as well here. Yeah, I just noticed we're in here, so I believe these are the vision sensors, or is the green one? Yeah, the green one is there, but it could be down to... That's when I was last spotted. There, okay. So I think the green is when you're sensed, and then you lose sense when you're out of the range. So, sorry, if it's not too clear at the moment, I'm looking up here for a debug message that just pops up for a very brief second. But when we go outside of this red area, it's quite hard to see in the background, I admit. We should see that message come up. We crossed the line yet, not sensed anymore. Okay, sweet. And then they won't be able to resense us in this outer area because these are two different values. One of them is start to C and one of them is end to C. So this area is safe unless you're trying to escape them. But if we do this, we're safe as well because we're not in their cone. So maybe it'd be handy for us to play around with. I like how it's. Unfortunately, it doesn't keep the debug on when you're playing around with it. So what I was going to play around with was some of these values in here. I guess it's only in the. You can't do it in the editor when it's running. Okay, so let's just go straight into our pet. Not pet, sorry, our character perception in the this struct here, yeah, here. This cone of vision, I guess we'd make it a bit smaller, so we'll make this around 60 instead, maybe. The sight radius is going to be a lot shorter because we're on quite a small map. So we'll make that 500 and 600. The pets are just going to be spheres. You know that, Fables. But yeah, that's what I'd like to do over this week and more so next week is maybe a last session on the AI behavior trees for the month, and we'll have a new topic then for next month. But I'd like to make like a little pet behavior, and that's what I'm hoping to do with this is if the sphere can see you, it will something along the lines. I'm not 100% on the rules now, but something along the lines of like if you're close, it's happy, but if you go far away, it'll detect that you're gone and it'll try and find you. It'll start like facing in random directions to try and find you, to see you. And then if it fails that for a while, then it'll start wandering to random locations. And then if it sees you, it'll go to you. It's not just going to know where you are straight off. So we're going to try and use the sensing. And we might choose those wander locations using that EQS system. So I'd like to try and do it for some. It's not even especially for the pets. I'm thinking of if you imagine in AHA and we have the kingdom, so like the castles, and then there's my idea is that everyone who's a member of that kingdom will just sit outside of their castle or idle out there. So I want to have some nice like fun idling behavior. So if we do go, oh, let's look at Bangladesh, and there's 3 people there, they're not just standing still. That they're either walking around, but I'd like to. My aim is to have points of interest. So there might be like a campfire, and there might be like a tree, or there might be like other people, and so they'll just randomly say, okay, like choose something roughly random to do. Are you talking to anyone? No. Okay, then look for something to do. And it'll choose a random one that's within range for it. And if there's another player or a point of interest, it'll choose which of those to do. If it's a point of interest, it just goes up to it and goes and stands by it. If it's another player, it'll go up to it and then they'll do some talking animation or something along those lines, for example. So just like some kind of generic like background AI would be nice to develop. Okay, so far we figured out that this event, so event when an actor enters perception and when they leave perception. Let's say a single event. There you go, just to make it clear, because initially we weren't sure, were we? Well, I wasn't, all right? Now, I'm interested in seeing how this one works and how often it gets called. So we will rock you. We will move this stuff down. And I guess what we'll do here is we're just going to do a print, just to keep it simple to see how this works. We're going to print simple. We're going to get an append again. We're going to say number or updated actors, and then we're going to just get the quantity of this. Oh yeah, it is length. Even though it's called num. Anyway, it's fine. So if we just print that, I got a feeling this might spam, but I don't know. Perception updated might be how often it ticks. I'm glad we're all on the same wavelength. So we all just... Great song. I really enjoyed the film, the motion picture, the Freddie Mercury one that came out a year or two ago. I thought that it was good. It was good. It's interesting for me. I grew up as a very young kid who didn't know much about the world, who really liked Queen, their music, but I didn't really know much about what else. I knew that Freddie Mercury died of AIDS. I know he died quite young, but that's it. So it was interesting to see the background, even if it was portrayed in a film-like manner. I'm not too sure how 100% accurate it is or whatever, but anyway, okay. So we are gonna print this out, and I am going to make it what color? Let's just make it blue. That is good with me, and we'll make this 1 second long as well, because I worry this one might spam. Okay, let's try this then. Okay, there's nothing. Ooh. Updated actors is 1. Hold on, let's turn on the debugging tool, shall we? Okay, here's the range. That's probably a factor here. Hold on. Not detecting anymore. Here's the cone of vision, I'm guessing, right? Although, hang on, no. There's the 60 cone of vision. I'm not seeing that thing pop up anymore, if I'm honest with you. Is it still detecting me? How's it detecting me still? I'm guessing, I don't know what this black line is, if I'm honest with you. Oh, is it because... No. I'm not making sound, so it shouldn't be detecting me still. When I first started, it popped up a few times. Let's try it again. Here. Sensed and not sensed. Sensed. Okay, so it seems like that is only called at the same time as well. Hey, Light. How you doing? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I quite like the actor as well. It's the guy, Rami, what's his... Malik, I think it is. The guy who plays Mr. Robot, if you've ever seen. Who you wouldn't really think would do a good Freddie Mercury, but he does a great Freddie Mercury. Okay, so it seemed that once I brought up this debug menu, my prints were not working anymore. Yeah, that's odd. Before, my prints were working with that app. Oh, debug messages, Control Tab. Ah, it hides them if you don't have that on. There we go, that's something else I've learned. That's fine. Okay, so it's kind of working the same way. I guess what we can try and do to understand a bit more about this then is seeing what we're getting available to us when we do this. So, we could go for each, I guess. For each one of these, after you do that, I don't care how wasteful this is at the moment, we're not looking for efficiency. We want to get this, and do we know what it is? We should do. It should be like we can break, can't we? What is the array of type? updated actors. Oh. Interesting. Okay. We don't have anything to do with the stimulus. We just have the actors involved here. Ah. Do they have like a get name? Get object name. Let's try that. We'll whack that in. So we're not really going to get much info at all out of this, other than I think what it should do now is, yeah, default pawn 0. It's staying for 2 seconds, which makes it desync a little bit, which is a bit annoying, but still. Okay, so we get the actors. Now what do we get? I guess the other one is most interesting to us then, right? This one is the more interesting one. So we're gonna just unplug that for now. Let's stop. So this is just called when list of actors detected changes. Like added or removed. It's not like when you detect them. Yeah, it's weird. I imagined it was going to be every time they move, then it detects more movement, you know? It doesn't seem to be that way. Okay, so at this point we have this. I guess, can we hit a breakpoint here? And then we can have a look at what we have in here. I think we've got most of the information available to us, but we'll do it once anyway. So here we go. Let's hit this key so you can see it. We need to put in 4 to see a perception. Okay, so here we're in range, and now we can have a look at. Oh, can we not? I guess it doesn't need to pull it from it yet, right? It's going to pull it from now. Or does it still not take it? Okay. Now we're getting the positioning value from it, right? I don't know what these are, and it's a shame we can't see them. Oh yeah, we were only doing it. Hold on. We were only doing it if it wasn't successfully. Oh no, we were doing the inverse of it up there as well. Okay. So how could we use this with our behavior trees then? I guess that's the next thing that we want to think about, right? I need to take this breakpoint out. So yeah, we need to work out how we could use this. I guess this would be a way of like when you see them, you can go towards them, right? So would you just, upon seeing them, we would set the target location on the blackboard? Seems a bit jank, but so would this then go get controller? Or would we need a reference to self first, I guess? If we get the controller and then get blackboard, and then we set blackboard value. I guess we do a vector. I'm going to make a literal out of this. I don't know what my blackboard currently has, so let's go and have a look. We have a target location, so we can just use that. I don't know whether we need a has seen. I don't know, would you store it like that? Would we make one and say has target in sight? Maybe, No, you should, I think, with Boolean names. You should be asking it like a question. Okay, let's save that. So would we, is the way that we're expected to use it, target location is going to be set to whatever our, this is just any time we see one though, right? So this is probably a little bit jank, but it's okay. We don't mind a bit of jank here. Okay. So after it to text one, we want to do that. Otherwise, I guess we would want to, we can copy this stuff up here, but we would set it to, would we want to set it to 0? No, maybe we would just say can has target in sight, and we would set the set value as bool. Yeah, we'll do this maybe instead. We could plus chuck the positive side of that on the one below as well. So let's take these, let's copy them down. So we're going to go ahead. I mean, maybe this would be a better way to try and set these values. And we're going to set that to true. Okay. It doesn't like that because it needs to know which blackboard we're looking at. That's better. Okay. So we should hopefully now have, yeah, we should be able to use that information in a simple kind of behavior tree thing. But we'll have to have a look now. So within our behavior, we're not doing anything at the moment, so we can set up a new little bit of logic. I don't know what this was. I don't want to think about it right now either as well. So, okay, so we want to have gated behavior. So one of them could be wait. But then the first thing you should try and do is we want to, I guess it'd be a sequence, perhaps. We'd want to add a decorator to this, which would just check the Blackboard value of has target in line of sight. So if we have a target in line of sight, we want to go ahead and follow it. Or no, set and move to that location, right? Move to target location. But what would be interesting is trying this, and then we'll try when we make it break when that changes. So let's give that a go. That'll start. So we press play and we have a look at this, is waiting. This is failed at the moment continually. That's not a problem. That's what we expect really, because there's nothing near to it at the moment. Now if we go into our level, it should perceive me. So it did detect, you can see it's set, oh, now it went for me. Ah, maybe there was no nav mesh because I was too high. That's interesting. Maybe I'm too low in this instance. Yeah, so it kind of detects where I am. We need to rotate our good friend around. Let's jump back in. We should probably put on our perception tools as well. That would help us know. Okay, so we're out of here. Let's go back in range. Okay. Oh, is it? Oh, it's because that wait is for so long, actually, isn't it? It waits for 5 seconds. I don't actually think we need that wait. Let's just do it like that, and it'll be a bit more responsive for us, I feel. Yeah, there we go. So it can't see me. Now it can see me. Where's its, we need to have a look at its perception information right now. Are we not seeing anything? What? This, press 4. There we go. That's what I was expecting to see. Okay, so when we go into this, I'm expecting the tree to, change. And it'll continually, no, it won't continually. Okay, I feel right now what I'd really like on our little simple character is an arrow, so I at least know which way it's pointing. So let's go to our arrow, and we need to make it visible. We can see its little belly. There you go. Now it's like a real player. So if I move here, does it face me and come towards me? Yes, okay, so it does face. So I guess what we'd want it to do then is if it can't see, we would want to... Oh, it's trying to climb up the wall to get to me at the moment, isn't it? It's going to struggle with that move quest. Yeah, it gave up. It couldn't get there. So we'd want it to periodically just to look around, I guess. But what we can have a look is the noise sensing as well before we do that. But one thing I wanted it to do was to have to continually follow, but if it loses sight, then it should stop moving towards me. So we're going to have a look at that. I think what we'll try and do though is to give it a bit of a better range on its perception as well. We'll take this up to around 800, say, and this one up to around 600. So there's a bigger gap between the green and the red. And let's save that. The other thing we want to do is in this behavior tree, we want this one to result change of value. We want to abandon yourself if that value changes midway through. So that'll interrupt the move task, which sounds fine. So that means it shouldn't keep going past me. If it can't see me anymore, it should. So this will come towards me now, right? What's happening here? It's not having fun, is it? Wait, where's it trying to move to? I don't know what. Yeah, this situation I don't quite get. So is it because I'm still in range? Because it's still set. It'll just, until I go out of range again, it doesn't seem to. Okay, my point anyway was going to be to try and turn this around like I did before, so it's facing this way. Should come towards us. If we, can you see if we move out of range, it stops following? But it doesn't continually follow, right? And I think the reason is we only update the location when we leave, if you remember. Our code at the moment. That's an interesting one. So I guess what you would probably want to do with it is like to get the actor, right? And then you can get a reference to that actor and follow those. That might be more reliable because you can then query its position each time. So let's try and do that. That sounds, and then we'll try and play with making a noise to see if we can make it come towards us if we're not looking at it, for example. So so far what we've done is we're setting the target when we come in range. What we want to do, instead of giving it a location, we will give it the actor instead. So do we have a variable worthy of storing this self-actor? No. Let's make a new key to an object. It's going to be an actor. No. I guess it's... Do you not do subclasses? Ah, that's where I was confused. My bad. You're going to be a base class actor. You're going to be called sighted actor. Insight actor. That's fine. Save. Okay. So we need to modify our simple character now, where we did this logic. Instead of just storing the location. Gosh, this is a mess. Let's start up again and do it a bit cleaner, shall we? So leave that up there and we'll start a slightly tidier one down here. So what we want to do, I quite like the branch of when it's leaving and that. I think we should still do that. So branch based on whatever this, let's break that out again. I think you can hide pins, can't you? Yeah, so we don't care about the age, expiration, strength, or tag at the moment. Okay. So we're going to take in our successfully sensed. We're going to branch on that. And then we basically want to get hold of our controller. So we do the same as we did last time. We get a reference to ourself. From that, we can get ourselves a get controller. I mean, if you get rid of that, the target itself anyway, so sorry. We'll need this for both cases. So we'll see where this winds up. From the controller, we want to get our Blackboard. My keyboard's in a slightly to the side position today, and my mistyping's happening often. And then from here, we want to set value as object. We're not going to do that as a variable, sorry, we want to make literal. We should probably delete this that we accidentally created. And this is going to be our insight actor, I think I called it. Or target, did I call it? Let's have a look. I called it bloody actor, didn't I? Oh, you're now called target. Okay. Okay, so now that we've got that, that should mean that we can set this to be the actor that comes through. So this is if it's true, we want to do that. Now if it's false, we're going to do the exact same thing. But we'll leave it as null. Can we just... You don't have to give it null, I think you just leave it like that, right? So we're giving it no value. Okay. Yeah, that should do fine. Still looks a mess. I'm not too sure what else we can do, so let's just go with this for now. So now we need to change our behavior tree a little so we can use this information, right? We're basically setting it when you see it and clearing it when you lose it. So we need to go into our behavior tree. And we might need to make a little task for this perhaps as well, because we can't just use... So we're not setting that bool anymore. But I guess instead of doing that, we can now just say, do you have a insight target? Then we want to... Is there like a move to actor? Okay, so we're going to have to make a little task for it. Didn't we make some already? Like a custom one like that. Task. Move directly towards... Nope. Nope, nope, nope. So each time we're updating the location, so I guess what we would do here is we'd do two. We'd get the location based on insight target. So we'd make a quick new task, I guess here, like this. For now, we'll just whack this on the end. This is this. Let's go back. First thing, rename it. So a blueprint task, which is going to be to set location by insight target. Okay, so let's go into that. We have our things we need to get in. Isn't it the execute? Is it the AI one? I hope it is. And then we have our finish execute. So it should be valid. I don't think we even need to safety check that. We just want to get location from this on controller. Oh no, we need to get the Blackboard value, right? So we would make a get Blackboard value as object. Do you promote that to variable if I remember correctly? And then that exposes it out, I think. Just whack these out for now. This, we're going to expose it out. This is going to be our insight target actor. I'm just adding the word actor intentionally so it's different to the actual name of the genuine field in our Blackboard, so we can see the difference if needed. Let's compile that. Should be none by default. That's not a problem. And then we want to get actor location. Oh, excuse me. And return value. If it's an object, okay. So would we need to cast to an actor? I guess it doesn't matter what it is. So if we can cast it to an actor, if failed, then let's finish. Execute with an unsuccessful node, and then let's, otherwise we want to get actor location. Location? Oh, we're doing it straight from that, sorry. Get somewhere in there it bloody well was, wasn't it? We're going to get that and we're just going to return that. So now we want to set value. So now we need to get, we've got our owner controller, right? Hold on, where are we? We're in a task, yeah. So can we just do get Blackboard in here? No, it needs to know what it's coming from, right? So we'd need to get the, mind you, how does it do that? I guess a task. I'm wondering why doesn't this work? Okay, hang on, wasn't there a get black? Yeah, maybe we can just do this without giving a reference, we'll see. So we want to But we want to set, really, don't we? Not. As a vector. Okay, yeah, that's cool. It doesn't seem to. Here. I guess we could promote it to a variable as well. Even though we know specifically what we want to set it to. So this is an out, really. That's going to be the target vector. We want to take this. Let's move these across it. Okay. This might do the trick. So this now should say, if it is set, then we want to go ahead and do our new custom task. Set location by insight target, and we need to set the insight target actor. Okay, insight target that is, but we can't set that other one. I didn't make it visible, did I? Here we go. I was wondering why I couldn't see it. And then we want to set it as our target location. Sweet. Okay, save. So what we're expecting to happen here is if it has a target, it'll go towards it. And what should happen is it should continually... It won't continually go towards you, because we still need to move towards it, right? We still need to do the move to target location. So if you move, it's not going to follow you around. But once it gets to the location, it will go back at you at a different point. So let's monitor and let's observe that behavior first, shall we? So we are here. Let's get on our perception info. So when we get into here, it should come for us. Oh. No, it may not be working as I expected, actually. Okay, so it's got me here. Okay, I mean, it kind of does. Now that's doing what I expect. So as long as you're in range of it, it'll keep coming towards you. Okay, what we're going to do to make this a little easier, I know I changed this earlier, but we're changing it back, is to change our simple characters AI perceptions to have a wider cone of vision again. 90 was fine. Let's just make this, you can see, for a lot further as well. Uh-oh. What's going on? Perceptions on this not even showing. Okay. It faced me, right? Oh, why is it not consistent? I don't know what's going on with this stuff. Put the debug info back on. Yeah, you can see it doesn't really show it anymore. Oh, is it because it's debugging the pet character instead? Yeah, we want to debug this character. wonder why it stops randomly sometimes. Like, see how it's no longer doing it? Oh, is it because of that is closer? Oh, it bloody well could be. All of these are different. Let's move these way away, shall we? Okay, we're going to move you this way and have you pointing towards us there. Let's press play. Right, so the first thing you do is come towards us. That's a good start. Good, okay, this is better. I think before I was getting caught up by the other. I don't think there's nav mesh there for it, so we have to be careful to kind of turning it around. But okay, so it's now using that sight as a means to know whether it could see us or not, which is good. So as soon as we go behind it, it stops. And that's what would have not happened before, is if we didn't have the abort on that side of the tree. It would keep moving after we go behind it. So while it's coming towards us, as soon as we got past it, see, it still goes to that location. So that's what our abort was doing there. I think that abort is better as well. So we go in and oh, we're still playing. We're going to chuck that abort back on. I think that was fine. Right, so I think the next step is to see if we can get the hearing sense and stuff to work. So I'm going to have a little quick look at that. I'm just going to take a 60-second break, and then I will be back to start looking at that. How wonderful to see you two, Peter. How are you doing? With Rogue Legacy just coming out now, it made me realise how long ago it is since Full Metal Furies actually came out, which puts into perspective when we first met. Ah, okay. I'd assume it'd be the 2.8 blender. Old as heck. Now, but it doesn't feel so. Right, okay. So we were going to have a look at the, what do you call it, wasn't it? The hearing. So we'd have to go to our simple character and we'd add another sense into here. So let's close this sense down so it's a little less confusing in these menus, and we want to go into the hearing config. Excellent. Okay. So now if I Yeah. As far as we're concerned... Oh, hang on. One thing that's interesting, actually, was it was only on the dog that I put, if you remember our little pet dog circle, I put this stimuli source, didn't I, earlier? As in they can be spotted in that way. However, it was detecting the pawn as well, but I don't know if that's just a debug tool that you can turn on and off. Whatever LinkedIn has for me that's laying around. What, in terms of... What do you mean by that? In terms of the tutorials? What are you working on these days? Ah, I see. Oh, when you said start a tutorial, I thought you meant make a tutorial for some reason. Now I get you. Cool. Excellent. Are you enjoying it? Right. So, yeah, that's what I'm interested in this next bit, because we're going to have to make something make a sound, right? And I don't know, as a spectator, are we actually in a spectator pawn? I can't remember. I don't know if we possess a pawn when we begin. If I F8 out of this. What is that? That's the default pawn. What class are you? Yes, I'm not too sure this is going to be able to make a noise for us, right? We're going to have to make a new default pawn. Default pawn. Okay, so can we make a new class from? Default pawn, I wonder. Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's select that. And we want to make a BP Dan's default pawn. I'm enjoying it all right. Good. that's very nice to hear. I'm glad you're enjoying your work. Oh god, I don't know how to use Blender. I think if I made a video tutorial series, it would be hilarious. Why not? Maybe that's the new type of tutorials we need. People teaching people how to do something they don't know how to do. Like, I feel I'd be good at teaching people how to sculpt clay. Patrick Swayze and Ghost sort of thing. Absolute mess. And in the end, I have some unfortunate shaped candle sort of thing. Okay, Dan's default pawn, which means we need to change our game mode so it spawns that as well, right? Do we have our own game mode? I can't even remember in this whether we did that. No, we don't. So, in the world outliner, have we not got our... Hold on, what am I looking for? Normally there's a world details. I'm trying to remember where it is. I normally have it open by default. World settings, that's the one. So in here, there's a game mode, right? Game mode override. And then you can make your own one. Oh, do I have a game mode base already? Oh, that's the default one, I think. I can't change them. So we need to make our own one, I believe. So let's go ahead and make a new game mode base, a blueprint of it. Blueprint, game mode, oh sorry, we need to say game mode. We've got this one. Let's go ahead and make that. BP, Monthly Gamedev Challenge 4. Okay, so we'll use that instead. So we need to go ahead and do that in our project settings, I believe, right? Maps and mode, game mode base, we want to use our monthly game dev challenge 4.1 like that. And then in here we can change some values. Okay, so our default pawn class is going to be my own Dan's default pawn now. Okay, save that. That sounds like an unfortunate phrase really, doesn't it? But we're going ahead with it. So that should mean that we are now by F8 out of this. This should be a Dan's. Is it not? It should override it. Oh my gosh, you serious? Oh, I crashed everything.